Tonight I'm gonna feel alive, and no one won't be acting nice. So baby, go and start a fight. I'm in love with the city lights. Look, I'm enough of a big star. I got my girls and I got my cars. Come on here, baby, be a buzz.
Welcome to the Rico No Suave Show. We are bringing you a fun-filled show tonight with a great guest. So get ready, mi gente. Now, here is your talk show host, Rico No Suave. Dale.
Oh yeah, baby. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show. It's my boy, it's me, your boy. I'm about to say my boy, Rico No Suave. I can call myself out if I want to. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am super happy to be back with each and every one of you guys. Hey, everybody. You know, one of the biggest things that we always say, and it's going to be a tradition, if you missed me for a week, I missed you. So you can always say it live if you want to, or just say hello to the TV, everybody. So welcome to the show. Me and the crew is ready for you guys today. We have a fun-filled packed show for you guys. It's going to be a deep one today, everybody. But hey, I want you guys to make sure you continue to show your love for the Rico No Suave show and all of my people that's actually my regulars and the people that just love the show. Thank you guys so much, man. I love you guys so much. But we got to get it on, everybody. We got to get it on. A soldier, a civil rights activist, an angel that has always been here on this earth is now in heaven. My man, Dr. Reverend Jesse Jackson. Wow. This one is something that I've seen as far as through life, through parents, but also, you know, my parents would tell me stories about Reverend Jesse Jackson and the movements that he's had as far as with walking on the streets, but also fighting for equal rights when it comes to the African American, when it came to just people around the world, even Caucasians, Latinos. He was always a civil rights activist when it comes to equal rights throughout the world. The one thing I will tell you is that when you've seen exactly his journey and what he's been through, and to be able to still be here in Chicago, and big shout out to Jesse Jackson Jr., the guy is awesome because we actually started to become good friends, you know, and it was good actually being able to talk to him. But I never really talked too much in regards to his father because his father is such a big icon for the world to be able to see. As you can see right there, Jesse Jackson in his early ages, walking with Mr. Dr. Martin Luther King, was such a really great positive. He always brought a great vibe when it came to being able to, how can I say it, fight for the rights, right? Fight for the rights itself. And, you know, I'm just so blessed to be able to hear some of the things as far as with my parents and also, you know, friends and family to be able to have met him during that time and just knowing how strong his words are. As we go to the next slide, right? Speaking of words, I want to say this quote. You must never stop dreaming. Face reality, yes, but don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream of peace. Peace is rational and reasonable. War is irrational in this age and unwinnable. And that's such a great quote. And I picked this out of a lot of the quotes because we should never stop dreaming, but we want to make sure that our dreams come true. The war is within ourselves. And sometimes the war feels like it's unwinnable, but we're never in competition with other people, but we always have to face reality as we continue to grow. within ourselves. I do want to say rest in peace to Mr. Jesse Jackson, Senior, Doctor, that is. Thank you so much for actually being a positive light for a lot of people that's in certain areas of struggle. But also, you bring that light to people of being able to continue to be positive so we can continue to be positive. But knowing that we might not see where you're going and what you're doing all the time, but we know that you're fighting just like a military. You're fighting for this nation to be able to be right in some cases, and hopefully in most cases that we will be able to survive as far as some of that racism, but also for equal opportunities within the black and brown community as well. So we all say, and please make sure you show your love for Dr. Jesse Jackson Sr. Yes. All right, everybody, it's time. It's time. We have another leader that's actually with us today. And when I talk about leaders, everyone, he actually was on my show before. But when we talk about the barrio, and we talk about what happens in a barrio, and then when it goes to the boardroom and being able to fight that fight, to be able to help the youth, but also for the adults as well, too. Now he's taken another step into the right direction of now he's actually a candidate for being a lieutenant governor of Illinois. I want you guys to put your hands together for none other than Dr. Man, I'm so happy that he's here, man. Robert Renteria, man. I almost got choked up, man. My man, Robert, he is here with us. Hey, Robert, how you doing, sir?
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I am good. It's good to hear from you, man. It's good to see you here. Welcome back to the show. I can say welcome back now. Like welcome back, Mr. Kate. Welcome
Right
back.
on.
So it's
Thank
good
you.
to actually have you here, man. Man, it's an honor to be able to have known you when you're actually, of course, at the very beginning when you actually started Mibario 4 decades. But knowing that and just talking to you recently in regards to now that you're starting to be this candidate, it's a great thing. But what I will want you to do for the audience, because now the audience have grown now, but I want the
Yeah.
audience to have a little bit of background in regards to why you started with the book of Mi Barrio. Let's talk about that.
Well, great question. It was about 20 years ago. I ran into a couple young little homeboys, little soldiers, foot soldiers, gangbangers, and they were all tatted out. And I drove up in front of a restaurant. I was driving a brand new car, and they said, "Hey, your car's fat." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Your car's cool. How do I get one?"
Yeah.
So I invited him into the restaurant. We were talking for a little while. So one of the cats says, "Hey, what's your secret?" So I say, "Get a napkin and a pen from the waitress. I want you to write something down." So he comes back with these big brown hungry eyes. And I said, "I want you to write down 2 words." And he said, "What's that?" I said, "Hard work." So he looked at the napkin. He had a big smile on his face, put it in his pocket, shook my hand, and ran out the door like I gave those 2 guys gold. I said, "There's a story here." I said, "We have children, teenagers, and adults walking around lost, alone, confused in a culture of darkness." I said, "I'm going to do something about it." So that's when I started the journey when I wrote my first book that was released in 2008 called From the Barrio to the Boardroom. And
Mm.
that's when the journey began. And if you remember, when we had house phones,
Yep.
the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which I was on the board, gave my book to the newspaper, and they did a full spread on the front page. And I got a call that morning at home, and it was a lady on the other end. She says, "Are you Robert Renteria?" And I said, "Yes. How can I help you?" It's like 7:30 in the morning. And she goes, "I have a question for you." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" And she paused like for about 10, 15 seconds, and she was crying on the phone. And I said, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" And then she said, I'll never forget. She says, Robert, where have you been? Where have you been?" And I realized at that moment when I had chills up and down my spine saying not only was I not done, but the journey in my life with Barrio had just begun. So it's been a wonderful, very arduous journey over the last 20 years. We've written a bilingual book series called From the Barrio to the Boardroom. We've written a graphic novel called Mi Barrio
Yep.
and an activity coloring book called Little Barrio. And then we had a curriculum crafted by Chicago Public Schools, which I paid, and I had it copyrighted. We donate to middle schools and high schools at no cost across the state of Illinois, across the country, now in over 25 countries around the world, to teach critical thinking and conflict resolution. And then the church has got a hold of me, and we released another curriculum, which is the faith-inspired curriculum, to get our kids in the Bible so to lead them to Christ, so our kids can see the promised land.
Oh, wow.
So this is where I've been the last 20 years of my life until about 10 months ago when I got tapped by Sheriff James Medrick to run for his lieutenant governor.
Wow. Now, yeah, before we don't want to give him too much of that, because things start from somewhere when growing up with Robert Renteria. Now, where you were born and your heritage and things like that, as far as where you come from, what was the life like? Because the barrio, of course, we already know what the barrio is, but some people don't understand as far as what true meaning of the barrio. And it's kind of like, I wouldn't say the hood, but it's kind of like, yeah, you got a taste of the hood if you in the barrio, right? But it's like there's always something going on. What was life like for Robert at a younger age, growing up with his parents, and basically, what was that life like growing up?
Well, you say the barrio or the hood, it's one and the same basically, but it was the barrio. I
Yeah.
was born in the barrio of East Los Angeles, California, and I was born into poverty. My mother, when she got married, she didn't know that my father was doing drugs because she was in love with his good looks and smooth talking ways. And she found out shortly after she was married that he was doing heroin. And he was in and out of jail. And when he wasn't in jail, he was robbing people to put the needles in his arm because he liked the drugs more than he liked his family. But at the age of 3, he abandoned our family, and the only legacy he left us was a pile of bills and a bunch of empty bottles of booze in the trash can. My mother working 2 and 3 jobs to make sure that myself and my little sister did not become part of a system. So my father leaves. I'm 6 years old now, and I have a terrible accident. I almost died. I was in a terrible accident. I had to go to school for the physically disabled and mentally challenged because I couldn't walk, talk, or read or write. And then at age 9, my mother remarries, and she marries an abusive drunk, and the nightmare starts all over again. And he used to beat on me as a little kid till I'm black and blue. And there were times that he used to beat on my mother, leaving her bloody and battered. And we'll come back to that later. Yeah. So I got old enough, I ran away, and I found a new dysfunctional family called gangs. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And I started running and gutting, stealing and dealing. And then when I'm 17, I get a call that my father, my real father, biological father, died on Skid Row. Skid Row is where the homeless people live. So he died homeless, an alcoholic and heroin addict. And then I was involved in the drug deal that went bad, and I delivered the drugs, and the guy pulls out a gun, which I thought was going to be a big wad of money, points the gun at my head. He says, "Say goodnight," and he pulled the trigger twice, and it was the grace of God, a misfire. Oh, wow. So I remember running out of that apartment that I was in and running down the street saying, "God, if you let me live, I'll sin no more." So I shortly after found my way to Christ, and then I decided that if I didn't get away, I was going to be dead or in prison. So I joined the military, and I had to go back and get my GED and in order to get in the military. But joining the military was the best decision of my life, because it not only changed my life, but it saved my life, and it not only made me a man, but it made me a better man. And I got a chance to travel all over the world, jumping out of helicopters and airplanes, learning about duty, honor, and country. And it taught me about a word called character. Character is not just doing what's right when somebody's watching you, it's doing the right thing when nobody's watching. So after I honorably served our country as a non-commissioned officer, U.S. Army paratrooper, for over 7 years, I got out because I thought I was ready to be a leader and a man. And I went back to L.A., and my same so-called friends, my homeboys, my homies had elevated their game to dealing heavy drugs. And some of them got smoked and dusted in gang violence and drug violence. And the others are doing hard time in a federal penitentiary, doing 25 to life, living in a 6x9 behind cold metal bars, wearing an orange jumpsuit. So that's not what I wanted for my life. So I had a friend in Chicago, and I moved here in 1990 with $200 in a duffel bag. And I slept on his living room floor, 1-bedroom apartment. And all I could afford to eat back then was RB sandwiches, 5 for $5, if you remember those. So I'd have one sandwich on a Monday, and they made the other 4 sandwiches last throughout the week, drank a lot of water, lost a lot of weight. But I got a job in the commercial coin laundromat industry, building laundromats. So in Chicago, you see Spin Cycles and Bubble Land. Right. That's the business I was in. So I got a job. I worked hard every day, every holiday, every weekend. I didn't see my mom for 5 years. But after 5 years, I got recruited and became vice president of a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. And then I left corporate and I started my own business. And after 3 years, we became the number one distribution company in the United States. And I thought I had everything I ever wanted. Growing up sleeping on a concrete floor on a smelly mattress, and now I had a house on a pond. And I used to, as a kid, ride a bike or take a bus or hitchhike or walk. You know, I had a Mercedes Benz, and I thought I had everything I ever wanted. And I share that with you not to impress you, but to empower you, because I've learned that the two greatest days in your life are the day you're born and the day you realize why you're born.
Yes, sir.
So that's when I met these two kids. And I think they were angels from God, because I live in a small town. I'm in the suburbs, and I never seen these two young guys before. And I never seen them since in the last 20 years. So this journey has been one where I've been working to lift our kids up so they too could spread their wings and fly like the angels God intended them to be. And that's where I've been the last 20 years. And that's the Reader's Digest version of where I've been.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Robert, there's so much to be able to talk about when the transition of when you were in the streets and, of course, doing bad, when you make the transition to go to the military. Now, when you're going from a place where you try to make your own responsibilities of being able to survive, but also being influenced by negativity, and then you're actually going into the military, how was it for yourself to be able to how can I say this, to make that transformation in order for you not to bring the streets to the military?
Well, initially, when I went to basic training, you know, a lot of us were getting in little fistfights because we were trying to see who is el más macho, right? Who's going to be the mero, the main guy.
Mm-hmm.
But once we got past that initial phase and we started working on camaraderie and teamwork and why we were there to begin with, things started to click. So unlike growing up in the hood where we had, or the barrio where we had gangs, you know, everybody there was Army Green. So it was like being in one big bad gang, but we're all fighting for the same purpose and same mission. So it really taught me about what a band of brothers meant, and camaraderie, teamwork.
Yeah.
And that, those building blocks helped me later when I got out of the military and I went into business.
That's awesome, because sometimes people don't make it when they're coming from the barrio and they're going into military and their ways just don't change. And it almost feels as if something has to click in order for you to be able to get right, right? But in this case, you already kind of like, well, I have a band of brothers, you know, and, you know, I have that, and we're all have that same goal. But I think when you're going into the military, you know, they treat you as, hey, we are all one, but then you still, you know, have that, you know, have those personality traits, you know, where you feel like you're big, bad, and bold, but then after a while, it just smooth that out. Now, you did talk about the business piece. How has the business piece helped you during that time? And I'm sorry, what age were you when you were in the military again?
Just after I turned 21 years old, and I was in there till I was almost just 29, almost 30 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. When did it click in regards to understanding the business aspects of things? Because now it's like, hey, I'm starting to become an adult. I am an adult, right? But really becoming an adult and knowing about responsibilities when it came to the business end. When did that actually click for you?
Well, the first 5 years that I started in the coin laundry business, I was in sales. So I had to learn sales, and I worked my way into management, and then I learned how to have people who reported to me. So it was like being in the Army, because you're responsible for a lot of people and millions of dollars of equipment.
I see.
And being Latino, we care about family, right? So it was taking care of my workers was a natural transition for me. So from there, I got to corporate. The company was privately held at the time, and they went through an IPO and then went public.
Yeah.
And then I got promoted to be VP of a publicly traded company. So I got my education, I would say, on their dime.
Yeah. Sure.
And there's where I learned my business, which allowed me to transition out of corporate America and into owning my own corporation. But those were the fundamental building blocks that I got from them
Yeah.
and how to build a business, how to scale. I learned about acquisitions, development, brokerage, and running a major multi-million-dollar budget. So that helped me to sit at the executive level at my own company when I was able to transition over and own it and be my own owner.
Yeah. Now, was that during the time as far as between 21 and 29 that you were doing all of this? Because you were
Well,
in the military during that time, right?
yeah. So the military, when I transitioned out in 1990, I came here. I spent 5 years working for a company in Illinois in the laundromat space. A company out of Cambridge recruited me in early 96, and I stayed there until I think it was 2000, 2001. And then from there, I started my own company. So it was a corporate, when I was in corporate from the 96 to say 2001-ish, that is when I got all my business skills really under my belt
I
that I
see.
learned from a big corporation.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Man, I hope this is inspiring for a lot of you out there because being able to have a purpose in life of trying to take responsibilities from the streets, but also to be able to take that into going into the military, which is a big step, and to be able to know that, hey, I'm going to be fighting for our country, but also being able to learn the business aspects of things while you're there, and something just clicks to be able to find the right personality to be able to say, I can do this, right? And then all of a sudden, there was a talent that was hidden. That's what I love about it. Talent that was hidden, and now being able to have that entrepreneurship to be able to have your own business, Robert, I think is a really great thing. What now in that time, during that time while you were in the military, were you still in contact with your mom?
Oh, all the time. I'm a big mama's boy. I call mom all the
Okay.
time. And even now as an older guy, we talk every day because she's still my girl. So yeah, we're very tight. Because my
Yeah.
mother taught me that the most important thing in life is family. Protect it and respect it and don't abuse the privilege. So she has always been there for me, and she was my rock, my anchor, she was my flag, which kept me strong and proud. And so now I'm just focused on doing bigger things and trying to help more people. And that's really what I'm really all about, is about unity and
Yep.
bringing people together.
Yeah. I like that. I like that piece because mom is that solid rock. I mean, having both parents to be that solid rock is a really great thing. But in some cases, you either have. I'm a mama's boy as well, right? So, I think for me, and don't get me wrong, I love my father, right? My father was he helped me as far as to be that man, to be the leader, right? But at the same time too, that mom, it just shows you kind of that rock of the family. And I think because of being that best friend, that's a really great thing to have because basically be able to tell her anything, right? And be able to say, hey, mom, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Oh, let me tell you about my accomplishments. What did your mom think about you and accomplishments at the military, being in the
Well,
military?
she knew that it was the right decision because, like I said, if I had not gone to the military, I'd be dead or in prison.
Yeah,
So she was down with it. She was good with it, and I served well. I made her proud. I became a non-commissioned officer. I got a chance. I lived overseas. I traveled across the U.S.
yeah,
I got my wings in both air assault and airborne. So she was very proud, and I was proud. She was proud because I had become a man. I wasn't some little guys, some little lunatic running the streets anymore. That was all behind me. And
that's
and
awesome.
like I said, the military, I thought, I wrote in my book that I think every young person, young man, young woman should join the military at least for 2 years
Yep.
to get those fundamental building blocks and to understand what an oath of office really means to serve and protect.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Everybody, you already know Dr. Robert Renteria. Ya tu sabes, he is the author. And also, when we come back, we're going to be talking about him as a candidate of Lieutenant Governor of Illinois, everybody. So, hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves. And yes, I am seeing some questions flow through, so we will be asking that. And then after our commercial break, everybody, we're going to show you a nice 2-minute video in regards to what's about Robert, right? What is it about Mr. Dr. Robert Renteria that you need to know more about? All right, everybody, we'll be back shortly. Dale.
Every year, 800,000 children are reported missing. That's one child every 40 seconds. It's every parent's worst nightmare. Right now, there are 483 missing children cases still open. Your car donation can help keep kids safe and bring missing kids home. Donate your unwanted card today. Fast, free pickup, 24-hour response. Plus, you'll get the maximum tax deduction.
Call 800-723-2013.
Dr. Robert Renteria isn't just talking about making a difference. He's spent decades proving it, one life at a time. Born in the tough barrios of East Los Angeles, Robert faced poverty, an absent father battling addiction, gang pressures, and the kind of choices that can derail a future before it even begins. But he chose a different path. He served our country as a U.S. Army airborne veteran, earned success in business, and became an internationally recognized author and motivational speaker. His best-selling book, From the Barrio to the Boardroom, isn't just a memoir. It's a roadmap that has inspired thousands to rise above their circumstances. Yet Robert's greatest impact isn't on the page. It's in the streets of Chicago and communities across Illinois, where he's dedicated his life to mentoring youth who face the same challenges he once did. His work has been recognized by organizations like Soul Children of Chicago, a powerful initiative focused on empowering young people. Robert has stepped directly into neighborhoods plagued by gang recruitment, violence, drugs, and despair. He doesn't offer empty lectures or temporary handouts. Instead, he provides real mentorship, guidance, direction, and hope. He helps kids stay in school, steer clear of gangs, build self-worth, and envision futures far beyond the streets they grew up on. His tireless service has earned him profound recognition. Robert knows that when we invest in our children early, with real support, education, and belief in their potential, we don't just reduce crime, we transform entire trajectories. We build safer neighborhoods, stronger families, and a brighter Illinois for everyone. Now, as a candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Illinois, alongside gubernatorial hopeful Sheriff James Mendrick, Robert is ready to bring that same proven leadership to the state level. He's not a politician chasing headlines. He's a proven leader who has already changed thousands of lives, from the barrio to the boardroom, and now back to serve the people of Illinois, lifting others as he rises. That's not just talk. That's Dr. Robert Renteria. That's the leadership Illinois needs. Real results, real heart, real change. Join us in building a stronger, safer, more hopeful future for our kids, our communities, and our state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey,
And
yeah.
I'm really happy that I actually played that as well too, because I do want people to know more about you, but also what you've done. Now, of course, I still have my books. I have my books as well too, and I never let them go. So just so you know, I'm also a client, right? So I am also a client, and we know that you were actually on my show because we appreciate you actually, supplying these books to us. But also, everybody, you definitely want to make sure this is going to be great for your kids and also for your family as well. All right, Dr. Robert Renteria. Papa, it's time to talk about the real deal now. It's time to talk about the real deal because we understand where you come from. Now we know the decision that you made to be able to be a candidate for the Lieutenant Governor of Illinois. We need to understand as far as why you made that decision, right? We know where you come from, but now let's talk about why you made the decision to become a candidate.
Well, to go on the record, right? I am not a professional politician. I'm a servant leader.
Sure.
I'm a patriot, as I mentioned, who honorably served our country for over 7 years. So for me, I learned that you leave no man or woman or child behind. And because we do have money for wars and can't feed the poor, I decided that you can't be part of the solution unless you're part of the process. So I figured, okay, we needed to have some more transparency and get rid of the bureaucracy and hypocrisy that exists within politics.
Yeah.
So I decided to accept the offer from Sheriff James Mendrick, who I had been working with already for a couple of years, because my books are in his jail, and he's using the books to help to motivate the inmates to get out and stay out as part of his program. So we aligned ourselves because a lot of the work I do on the outside runs parallel with what he's doing on the inside. So we had that vertical in alignment. And so for the last 10 and a half months, I've been on the campaign, bringing people together throughout the entire state.
Nice. Nice. I think because he's seen your work and because the work that you're actually putting towards the community is so impactful, right? Donna Marie Bird. Hello, Donna Marie Bird. Thank you so much for checking in. You know, she says she really doesn't know what a lieutenant governor is. Can you explain the responsibilities of being a lieutenant governor?
Well, second in command in the event something should happen to Sheriff Mendrick, God forbid. But historically, they have been more of a figurehead in this space.
Okay.
But when I spoke to Sheriff Mendrick, I said, I have one condition, is that I need to have the flexibility and the power to go after some areas that are very important to me, like public safety and education. And he agreed that I could spearhead some of these very important issues that are facing the state of Illinois, so we could be in a position to fix these problems instead of kicking the can down the road or putting band-aids on bullet wounds.
Yeah, I think it's a really big task, which is awesome because you've lived it. You've been in where there was safety issues, right? And I think that's the connection that I think you have, and I think you're the best candidate for that. I'm going to say it myself, but also being part of the Black and brown community as well, you know exactly what is actually needed. Now, of course, over time changes, right? Things changes, but evil doesn't, right? Evil doesn't change at all. And evil, to be able to battle against that, is basically evil within human beings. How do you plan on your focus in regards to, we understand what education is about, but what if there's kids that's actually struggling as far as part of the education system? How would you try and help out the kids that's part of, let's say, Chicago Public Schools, but there's areas where it's hard for them to be able to get education because of safety issues?
Okay, so let me hit the safety issue first, right?
Sure.
Because there's kids in Chicago on the south and west side that'll tell you that it's easier to buy a stolen gun than it is to buy a book.
That's right.
And our children are having to learn how to dodge bullets before they learn how to read. And others are having to hide under a desk in fear of their life, while they're texting their mom and dad, please, I don't want to die, come get me, because there's some crazy man in the hallway with an assault and shooting our children. So public safety is going to be very important to me. And having come from the streets myself, we need to fix the problems in Chicago. 13 years, the most violent state in the country. You have to ask yourself, why can't we fix these problems? Right? Well, the issue is that America is a business, and when we fix problems, people lose jobs. Right? So the first thing we have to do is cut to the chase, right? And get to the core of what is really going on in the city. So what I've already done is I've spent the last 12 years of my life working with all the prison systems, all 28 prisons, including jails and probation and police, and getting to the heads of the inmates. So when I get them out, they're inspired to get involved and reformed, right? Because nobody wants to bury a kid and nobody wants their kids to go to prison. So I'm working with formerly incarcerated and those with criminal records. I've also met with the gang leaders, both in the Latino communities and the Black communities, right? I've also met with Interpol from El Salvador. So I went to in the belly of the beast, if you want to call it that, to get to the core of what's going on, to create an alignment with, call it this population, who has an influence on all the shorties that are out there who are just shooting to shoot, right? So the feedback I've gotten from all these people is that it's a public safety tool that I've created for the kids. When I'll get to the educational piece in a second.
Sure.
And why this is very, very important, because I believe that I and Sheriff Mendrick are the only two people ever in the history of Illinois who have met the people where they're at and talk to them and come out of there with a collaborative partnership. You may or may not realize this, but that voting block by itself, and that's not the reason we're doing it, but they want to get involved, because I've already met with Christian Ministries and others. that voting block for the state of Illinois is 3.5 million eligible voters in that space with that population.
Wow.
So that alignment is going to do a lot of good, not just for the votes, but to create assets versus liabilities. Because if these inmates get out and stay out and become productive assets,
Yep.
we save that money liability on the taxpayers, putting millions and millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, back into our budget to help our taxpayers. Right.
Yes.
So that's one way to offset the budget. Education, I created a bilingual program for K through 12. The curriculum that was developed aligns with the Illinois State Learning Standards, and I donate that curriculum. I'm the only person I believe on the planet that does that to middle schools and high schools, right? To teach,
Yes.
the schools are teaching the test, not teaching to learn. And you ask yourself, well, why are they doing that? Because they're graduating our kids with a 96 to 100% graduation rate, when in fact, they can only read and do math at a 6th, 7th, or 8th grade reading level. So what's happening is that they're chasing that president, so they get their funding for the following year. So they're pushing kids out the system. What I want to do is have a different report card for the schools and hold the superintendents accountable. If our kids are not getting the quality education that we're paying them to get, then somebody's getting fired. Okay, so I'm going to quit making excuses. And like corporate America, you fire somebody and they call it restructuring. No, we're going to hold everybody accountable, right?
Yeah.
Our kids should not be graduating with a 6th, 7th, or 8th grade reading level or proficiency in mathematics. So that's one thing that's going to change. The other thing that I want to change, and I'm going to be very vocal about, is I want to fight to eradicate the indoctrination and pornography that is poisoning our children, our little babies in schools.
Wow.
And I'm twofold, being a prior military guy and Sheriff Mendrick being a 30-year law enforcement man, sheriff, right, a safety officer. We want to put both God and the flag of the United States of America back into our classrooms. And then with the whole public safety piece is I want to make sure we also, unlike the current administration and past administrations, we want to fight to protect you, your spouse, your parents, your children, your grandchildren against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I like that. I like that. You can definitely tell that it's coming from. You can definitely tell it's come from the heart of what you've been through, and you also have a strategy. And your strategy has probably been happening even before you decided to be a candidate, of course, right? Because you've always been out there being an advocate, but also I want to call it like civil rights. Like you were there for the youth, you were there for education. But there's always that plan B issue when it comes to who is responsible in regards to helping the youth and also teenagers and also for some of the adults where they need the second chance in order for them to be able to grow, for them not to be in that system of I can't grow because I'm not being taught well. How have you seen where there is the kids are going into school, but they're not learning as much, but when they go back home, there's no parent. Well, there's parents that's there that is not able to help them with their homework, right? How have you seen that piece?
Well, the way it wraps around is it's like this. 2018, $2.5 billion was taken away from after school programs and counselors. So the schools are in dire need of culturally relevant programming. That's why it's important, if you're a teacher or you're involved in education, that you take a mental note here that I am donating a program that addresses critical thinking and conflict resolution, right? A program that's about prevention over intervention.
Yes.
To our schools across the entire state at no cost to our taxpayers, right? I've already invested the money to build it, and we're going to gift it. And then I think we need to rebuild our safe havens, which is our churches, and get our kids back in the Bible so they lead them to Christ, so they too can see the promised land. You talk about Jesse Jackson. I've done 3 conferences in the past with Reverend Jesse Jackson. In fact, I'm the only person, to our knowledge, in the world, the only Latino to ever receive 2 national Dr. Martin Luther King awards for my work as a civil rights leader and Latino voice in educational reform. I was the first and only Latino chosen during Ferguson, Missouri, to go there and talk to thousands of kids about breaking the racial divide. And they were using my program, my books, and when I spoke to them and we did autographs and photographs and Q&A, I got rushed into the conference room by the superintendent, the principal, counselor, teacher, and they had questions like, what just happened here? And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, the way the kids reacted towards you, and you're not black. And I said, let me tell you something. Kids don't know color. Kids know love.
That's right.
So what I want to bring is I want to bring unity back to Chicago and embrace a concept called teamwork and learn how to love each other and take care of each other, because that's how the foundation of this world was built. And I believe if we build on that foundation, we can be a champion of this place we call home to take care of our families, our neighbors, our community, our great city, and then beyond something right here, right now in Illinois.
Let's go. Let's go, man. I'm pumped. I'm super pumped up for this. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you know, the time is flying by fast because it's time for another commercial break, and we're almost done with this show. And there's more to talk about, of course, with this. But I think one of the biggest points that you're making is not being divided. I think the thing that you're actually coming together as far as being able to show that love for the people, from if they're incarcerated, if they're actually having a problem with the educational system, but you also are coming out with a donation plan to be able to make sure that kids are able to learn, but also they're able to get into programs for them to be able to stay out of the streets, right? And go from there. But, man, Dr. Robert Renteria, good words, man. Man, good words. I'm just like, I'm all, because I'm ready for this to be able to happen, as far as not just for you, but also for Illinois as well, too. Everybody, we got to take a quick commercial break. You already know Rico No Suave, Mr. Robert Renteria is here with us. All right, we'll be back in 30 seconds, everybody. Let's go.
Feeling sluggish? Struggling with stubborn weight and visceral fat? It's time to reset with Fupa Water. Packed with powerhouse ingredients like spirulina, turmeric, and aloe vera, Fupa Water is your daily detox and hydration boost all in one. Flush out toxins, energize your body, and say goodbye to that stubborn belly fat. Ready to feel lighter and stronger? Get yours today at fupawater.com. And for a limited time, use code RNSS for the Rico No Suave Show and get an additional 10% off.
And we're back. We're back, everybody. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves, man. Me and the crew is here. We're having a great time, man. We got a few minutes left. Man, I tell you, that time flies by fast when you're having fun, but when you're talking about a purpose, Doctor, are you having a good time?
Right on. I'm all in. Let's do it.
Let's go, man. Let's go. We talk about, there's so much to talk about when it comes to having a role like this. Now, being a lieutenant and having that, I want to say, a badge of honor, right? But also being able to have that badge with the purpose as well. If you were elected and you're in office, where would you see as far as like the donation plan going? Because if you're donating money, and instead of the taxpayers paying for certain things in Illinois, where would you look to actually get money? Like, what kind of strategy would you think that we need to be able to get money from other areas instead of the taxpayers' money?
Well, first of all, there has to be a forensic audit, and that's where Sheriff Bender could come in. He runs currently in DuPage County an $80 million budget, total of over 800 employees that he manages, and he has expertise and experience in this space of doing a forensic audit. So,
Okay.
you know, the cute word they use is Doge, but they would go in there and they would figure out where the money's being misappropriated and then reallocate that money to put it where it belongs. And then not just cutting and reallocating, but finding other ways, right, to move money around and that makes sense so it doesn't hurt our taxpayers raising taxes every single year by every single politician. So as an example, his recidivism rates is from 75% down to 15%. Okay, so if we cut and paste and replicate his model right there by itself across, I think there's 92 jails and 28 prisons. We're talking about billions of dollars of money that's reallocated back to the taxpayers, right, to help lower costs.
Yeah.
So that's one way. I'm currently working on a project for veterans. Veterans are very important to us, right? So what I'm working on is a $6.9 billion project to put low-income housing at no cost to our taxpayers, funded by outside people, and then hiring veterans to build these projects for homeless vets, vets with PTSD, and battered women and children
Wow.
in all 102 counties. So that's another idea of a plan that we can execute, saving billions of dollars to taxpayers, right? So
Yeah.
creating jobs for the vets. Here
Yeah.
in Illinois, as an example, I've been in the commercial coin laundry industry for 35 years, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, you can find me there at washbroker.com to learn more about that. But I've helped hundreds of people get into small business or medium-sized businesses with laundromats. And in those businesses, we've hired thousands of employees. So I already have expertise and experience in creating jobs, because that's the other part that we're going to have a problem with. If we don't know how to create jobs for people, people are going to go back to the streets, right?
Yep.
That's why we have such a big issue with the recidivism. And that's why Sheriff Bendrick is the only person on the ticket, on any ticket across this state or any state, who has his expertise of true rehabilitation for these inmates. So doging or doing a forensic audit is first, and then finding other ways to collaborate and partner with other agencies or people who are in philanthropy or people who have a social responsibility to give back, so we could spread the bread so everybody could eat.
That's awesome, man. You shouldn't have said the word eat because I'm hungry now. That was
Yeah, I appreciate you for bringing me on, and I,
yes,
I
sir.
want to say that I'm I'm the only veteran on the ticket.
All
I'm
right.
the only person who's served on the board of directors for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and been a member of every single Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in the entire state over all these years.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
the only author on the ticket. I'm the only person who's worked with schools, police, probation.
Yeah.
Pick your vertical. I'm the only person who put together a play for inner city kids back in 2015,
Yeah.
and it was performed and produced by inner city kids. And after that 1 year of sold out crowds, I was told by these kids that their boardroom is now the theater. So I saw lives transform in real time, and I think that you'll be proud of this, because I am. But when elected, with your vote and the vote of everybody listening out there here in the primary, which is going to be the 17th of March, I would be the first, Ricos No Suave, I would be the first Mexican American lieutenant governor in the history of Illinois.
Let's go. Let's go, Papa. Let's go. And once that happens on that day, we're gonna be teaching salsa classes. We're gonna have Latin food. We're gonna be doing a lot of great things on that day. It's gonna be awesome, man. And I think because of what you're proposing for the audience to be able to know, I think that's for the future. I think that's going to be very, very awesome. We got a few more minutes left, but I do want to give a shout out to Nancy Huston. She says, "Amen." This is basically to what we were talking about. Elizabeth Ramirez, she says, "Hello, Elizabeth." She says, Roberto was part of the Parents for Peace and Justice when we started 13 years ago. Hi, Elizabeth. Yes, this is awesome. That is awesome. And then my man, Gringo, is checking in. What does he say? From Puerto Rico to the world to Chicago. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, and everyone else that's tuning in. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. And then we got Sheriff Mendrick and Dr. Renteria are the only team that can beat Pritzker in November. Thank you all for having an amazing man on your show. Thank you to R. Heath 3313. Thank you so much. You should, if you want to, tell us your full name. We want to be able to give you a great shout out for that. But thank you so much. That is very awesome information. And hey, if it happens, let's go. Let's go. Because we definitely need someone that's actually, I'm not into politics, but based off of what we're hearing right now, I know that Dr. Robert Renteria is very passionate about this, and I know he has a drive to be able to make things happen as well. I got another question for you, and then, of course, we're going to close out. There's meetings like mayor, there's like meetings for the community, right? Where people all come to one, congregate, and then they ask questions, right? They ask questions, say, hey, what are we going to do about this? Or what are we going to do about that? It's kind of like teachers' meetings, right? But for you as a lieutenant governor, and you've been out here and you know what the streets is like, what are you planning on doing as far as, are you planning on having certain meetings like that as well, too, for the communities or different counties?
100%. We only succeed through collaborative partnerships. Elizabeth Ramirez is an example. We partnered 13 years ago to create a group called Parents for Peace and Justice for the women who lost their boys and their girls to gang violence and gun violence, right? So being very involved from a very grassroots level, right? So this is not a bottom up or a top down thing. We have to come together and bring everybody to the middle. So there's no kings or queens or pawns in this group. We're all on the level playing field, right? So unlike I said, the current administration or the mayor's office, because I've reached out to both over the last several years and gotten no response. I will be there to take the call. I will be there to take the meeting. Sheriff Mendrick will be there to take the call and take the meeting, because for us, it's not about politics. It's about people over politics. We will work for you, right? This is what this is really all about. And it's a big idea whose time has come, right? We have a bad problem in Illinois on several levels, and we need somebody who are problem solvers. And what I learned in the military was exactly that. 3 steps: recognize the problem, find a solution, take action. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take action.
Let's go. Let's go. I have there's a situation that's in my head right now. And the situation comes, this has been happening for quite some time, and when it comes to segregation in regards to different cultures. And being able to bring those cultures back, I think Bad Bunny kind of showed this a little bit in the Super Bowl, but it made an impact. Because we have a lot of segregation in Illinois, and you're basically kind of one of the top once elected, how are you planning on bringing different cultures together for your mission?
Well, it's not what I'm going to do. We've already been doing the work. As I mentioned, I'm the first and only Latino in the world, to our knowledge, who has 2 national Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. awards. I've been the recipient of the International Outstanding Humanitarian Award from Pakistan, Afghanistan, right? I was just the recipient last December of Soul Children of Chicago, the first Latino to receive an award for having Black kids in Chicago. So for me, it's not about color. It's about love. Right. So it's about unity. As I said before, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all the people. Right. So, my goal and my objective will be to address a lot of the now issues of bullying, gangs, violence, drugs, suicides, and to your answer, that crap called racism.
Yep. And that's the biggest one. And that's what, we got the Asian hate. We got the people from the Jewish community as well, too. We do have, of course, the African-American, you got the Latinos, and then you have Caucasian, right? And then you have the Greeks. You have so many different cultures that need to understand as far as what is love. All comes internationally together to be able to help each other. So I think by what you're doing and what you've been doing, right, that, of course, most of my audience are not aware of, that you've been doing that, but now that they know, I think they can actually help to contribute to your mission even further. So, yeah, I'm loving it, man. But, hey, we had a great talk today, man. It was a great conversation. I really appreciate you actually being here on the show as far as with us. We will put up, as you can see, everyone, the Facebook that's there if you want to actually add him on Facebook is Robert Renteria, right? So put the @ there. You'll be able to find him on Facebook. But the biggest one, of course, the voting, right, is important with the website. So here's the website, everyone. It's Mendrick 4, the number 4, governor2026.com. Make sure you please go onto that website. Make sure you cast your vote. Make sure you select my man, Dr. Robert Renteria, Lieutenant Governor of Illinois. Make sure you show him love, and make sure you go ahead and vote. Put that in, because we need to make sure that he makes it, and you know exactly what's going to happen when he actually makes it there. So, Robert, any last words before we let you go, sir?
Look, I know that everybody's tired of politics. As I mentioned before, politics is like dirty diapers. So we need people who are not politicians. It's people over politics. And by voting for Sheriff Mendrick and myself, he has 30 years as a public servant. I have 20. That's 50 years of serving the people. There's nobody on this ticket or any ticket in the United States that can say that. And both of us are going to give you a message. And if we really mean this from the bottom of our hearts, is we're running because we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Let's go. and there's nothing you can do about it. I love that saying. And there's nothing that can happen, because when you have that much experience and you have something to back that up, why not? We got a few more people as far as Paloma Andrade is actually checking in. She says, Robert Renteria, we need to spread more love and unity. And then we got Sheila is checking in, 6247. Hello, Dr. Robert Renteria. You are amazing. Guys, thank you guys so much for actually tuning into the show, everyone. And you guys kind of caught us at the end, but you might have to rewind to be able to see the whole interview again. But Doctor, thank you so much for actually being on the show, okay?
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right. God bless you too. Everybody put your hands together for Dr. Robert Renteria. Yes, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself today. Hey, you already know, we're not into politics, but we're all about showing that love and that unity. And for people that's been from the barrio and actually going into, that realm of having that badge of honor to be able to make sure that we go with that mission of love and making sure that everyone is okay as well. Everybody, we want to put up our social media real quick before we get out of here. The first one is our website, www.riconosuaveshow.com. Make sure you go and show us some love there. We have everything there, everybody. Let's go to the next one. We have none other than our Facebook. Please go ahead and like and love Rico No Suave Show on Facebook. Become a fan. Thank you. All right, then we have Instagram. If you're on Instagram, make sure you please go to Rico No Suave Show. Go ahead and follow us there on Instagram. The next one, of course, if you're on YouTube, make sure you click on that subscribe button, everyone. Make sure you go Rico No Suave Show. Go and click on that subscribe button and get that notification. Last but not least, we have Mixcloud. Turns to audio, everyone. Turns to a podcast, Rico No Suave Show. So go to Mixcloud.com, look up Rico No Suave Talk Show, and make sure you click on that follow. But everybody, want to thank you guys so much. We had a great show today. We appreciate you guys and showing that love. But until next time, everybody, we'll see you later as we end off the show just like this.